thought moving into my dream home would be a fresh start. Until the very first night, when the house spoke to me. Not with words at first, just a single drop of warm blood from the ceiling. A child's voice calling my name from the locked attic. And a terrified whisper seeping straight through the wall. "Don't leave. We've been waiting for you." 3 different homes, 3 different people, but the same chilling truth. Some houses don't just sit there empty. They remember. They watch, and once you move in, they never really let you leave. I woke up on my first night in the new house to the sound of my own voice calling my name from the attic above. But it wasn't me speaking. It was a faint, distorted echo, pleading, "Help me, please, help me," like a recording of someone trapped and desperate. My heart stopped. I'd just moved into this beautiful colonial home in rural Connecticut, a place I'd saved for years to buy after my divorce. It was everything I wanted: wraparound porch, spacious rooms, and a quiet neighborhood where kids could play safely. Or, so I thought. The realtor had mentioned the attic was great for storage, but skipped details. That night, lying in bed, the voice came again, clearer this time. "John, help me." How did it know my name? I bolted upright, sweat beading on my forehead. The house was silent otherwise, no wind, no branches scraping the roof. I grabbed my phone, flashlight mode on, and crept to the hallway. The attic access was a pull-down ladder in the ceiling, dusty from disuse. I hesitated, then pulled it down. The stairs unfolded with a groan, and cool, musty air wafted down. Climbing up, my beam cut through the darkness. Boxes everywhere. Old furniture covered in sheets. No one. But as I scanned, the voice whispered right behind me. "Down here." I spun. Nothing. Heart pounding, I backed down, slammed the hatch shut, and locked my bedroom door. Sleep? Impossible. The next morning, I laughed it off as a dream, or maybe the neighbor's TV echoing through vents. Work distracted me. I'm a software engineer, logical guy. But that evening, unpacking in the kitchen, I found an old photo wedged behind a cabinet. Faded from the 1950s maybe, a family smiling on the porch. Mom, Dad, 2 kids. On the back scribbled, "The Hawthorns, 1952, before the accident." Curiosity piqued, I Googled the address. Local news archive. In 1954, the Hawthorne family's youngest son, Tommy, age 8, went missing. Last seen playing in the attic. Search parties found nothing. Parents devastated, sold the house soon after. Rumors of him falling through a floorboard or getting trapped in a hidden space. That night, the voice returned, louder. "John, it's cold. Help." Pacing now, footsteps thumping above my ceiling. I called a friend. "Dude, this place is haunted." He suggested checking for animals. So, armed with a crowbar, I went up again. Pried open floorboards in the corner where the sound was strongest. Underneath, a small crawl space, insulation torn. And there, a child's shoe, worn, 1950s style, dusty but intact. My blood ran cold. As I reached for it, a small hand shot. Out from the darkness, grabbing my wrist. Cold, tiny fingers. I screamed, yanked back. The hand vanished, but scratches appeared on my arm. 4 lines, like nails. Panicking, I researched more. Found a forum post from a previous owner. Heard a kid crying in the attic. Thought it was imagination until I found his toys. Attached photo, same shoe. Police report from 54. Tommy's body never found, but blood traces in attic. Theory, accidental. Death, parents covered it up. Or worse, things worsened. Objects moved. My keys in the attic. My wallet under floorboards. Whispers evolved. "Play with me, John." One night, the ladder dropped on its own. I climbed, compelled. In the crawl space, a skeleton, child-sized, curled up. Lock it around. Neck with Tommy engraved. I called authorities. They excavated, confirmed remains from 1954. Cause, starvation. He'd fallen in, trapped. Parents knew? Unclear. I sold the house fast. New owners renovated, but last I heard, they hear echoes too. If you're moving into an old home, check the attic. Some echoes aren't just sounds, they're cries for help. The first drop of blood hit my forehead as I stood in the basement unpacking boxes on moving day. Warm, sticky, seeping from a crack in the ceiling like the house itself was wounded and crying out in pain. I wiped it away, staring up. No pipes. Visible, just old wooden beams. What the hell? I muttered. This was supposed to be my fresh start. A cozy ranch-style home in suburban Ohio, bought cheap after a quick flip by investors. I'd relocated for a teaching job, excited about the big yard and finished basement for a home office. The inspection report said minor water damage downstairs, nothing major. But this? Red, metallic smelling. Blood? I climbed a stepladder, shone my flashlight. The crack was fresh, jagged. Another drop fell, splattering my hand. I tasted it, salty, coppery, definitely blood. Heart racing, I called the realtor. Probably rust from old nails, she said dismissively. Houses settle. Unsatisfied, I patched it with tape and went upstairs. That night, alone in bed, I heard dripping, slow, rhythmic, plop, plop from below. I ignored it, but sleep evaded me. Morning came. Basement floor, small puddle, red-brown. I mopped it, set up my desk. While working, a low moan echoed, like someone in agony. From the walls, I pressed my ear to the concrete, faint scratching, nails on stone. Hello? No answer. Shaken, I searched the house history online. Zillow comments. Previous owners left suddenly. Deeper dig. Police blotter from 2019. Domestic disturbance call. Man arrested for assaulting his wife. She vanished days later. Husband claimed she ran off. Case cold. That evening, more blood. Seeping from multiple cracks now. I pried at one. With a screwdriver. Plaster crumbled, revealing a fingernail, human, broken, embedded. I dropped it, gagging, called police non-emergency. They came, took samples. Could be animal, officer said. But lab results later. Human blood, type O negative. Matched missing woman, Emily Carter. Nights turned hellish, dripping constant, moans louder. Help, he's coming. Footsteps upstairs when I was alone. One midnight, basement flooded ankle deep. In blood-like fluid. Wading through, I found a loose panel in the wall. Behind, a hidden room. Tiny dirt floor, chains bolted to walls, scratches everywhere. Emily was here. He buried me alive. Horrified, I fled upstairs. Door slammed shut. Behind me, locked, pounding, screaming. Phone dead. Through the door, heavy breathing. Man's voice. You found her. Now you're mine. I barricaded, waited till dawn. Door opened normally. Authorities returned. Excavated. Found body in walls. Emily, walled in alive by husband. He'd poured concrete over, but blood seeped through cracks over years. I moved out. House demolished. But dreams persist. Dripping blood, her voice begging. New homes aren't always empty. Some bleed secrets. The blood didn't stop after they found Emily. If anything, it got worse, like the house had been holding back for years. And now that her body was out, it was finally free to bleed everything it had kept secret. I remember standing in the hallway the morning after the excavation crew left, staring at the basement door like it was a wound that refused to close. The air still smelled metallic, thick with that coppery tang that clung to my clothes no matter how many times I washed them. Police tape crisscrossed the stairs, but the dripping, it had started again. Not just from the cracks anymore. Now, it was seeping through the floorboards upstairs, right above where Emily had been walled in. Plop, plop, like a slow heartbeat echoing through the house. I hadn't slept in days. My name is Mark Thompson, 35, single, high school history teacher who thought buying this fixer-upper in suburban Ohio would be my reset button after a rough year. The house was a 1970s ranch, flipped by some investor who slapped on new paint and called it renovated. I got it cheap because of the quick sale. Now I knew why. The day I moved in, that first drop hit my forehead while unpacking. Warm, fresh. I wiped it thinking it was paint or rust, but it wasn't. It was blood. Human blood, as the lab later confirmed. Type O negative, same as Emily Carter, the woman who'd vanished in 2019 after dating the previous owner, a guy named Victor Hale. Victor, that's where it all tied back. The police dug into him fast after finding Emily. He was 42 when she disappeared, worked construction, lived alone in this house for years. Neighbors described him as quiet but intense. One old lady next door said he'd stare out the basement window at night, muttering to himself. No arrests back then. Emily's case went cold, ruled probable runaway. But now, with her mummified body pulled from behind the concrete panel, chained to the wall like some forgotten prisoner, they reopened everything. Victor had moved out, abruptly in 2020, right after she vanished. No forwarding address. Just gone. I tried to stay upstairs as much as possible. Packed what I could, planned to break the lease and leave, but the house wouldn't let me. That first night after the discovery, I was in the kitchen making coffee at 2 a.m. Couldn't sleep with the silence anymore, it felt wrong. Then the dripping started again, louder. From the ceiling this time. I looked up. A thin red line trickled down the drywall, right above the light fixture. It pooled on the counter, spreading like ink in water. I backed away, phone in hand, recording. This isn't possible, I whispered to the camera. They took her out. It's over. But it wasn't. The drops turned to streams. The ceiling bubbled, actual bubbles of blood pushing through the paint like blisters. One popped, splattering my arm. Hot, burning. I screamed, dropped the phone, ran to the bathroom, scrubbed it off. My skin was red where it touched, like acid. When I went back, the kitchen floor was slick with it. Footprints, my footprints, tracked through. But there were others too. Smaller, bare, leading toward the basement door. I called the detective assigned to the case, Detective Ramirez. He arrived at dawn with 2 officers. They tore up more drywall upstairs, found old stains hidden under layers of paint. This house has history, he said grimly. Not just Emily. Turns out Victor's father owned it before him, died in 2015. Natural causes, heart failure. But the autopsy photos Ramirez showed me, off the record, had unexplained bruising around the neck, like hands, and blood in the lungs, as if drowned from the inside. That afternoon, I went down to the basement one last time. Stupid, I know. Needed to grab some boxes I'd left. The police had cleared most of the scene, but the hidden room's wall was still. Open, jagged hole like a mouth. I shone my flashlight in. The chains were gone, taken as evidence. But on the dirt floor, fresh handprints, small, woman's, pressed into the soil like someone had just pushed up from below. I froze. Then I heard it. A moan. Low. Wet. From deeper in the crawl space beyond where Emily had been, I should have run. Instead, I crawled in. Stupid curiosity, or maybe the house pulling me. The space narrowed, dirt scraping my elbows. Flashlight beam caught something shiny, a locket. Emily's, from the photos. I reached for it. My fingers brushed cold skin, not dirt. Skin. I jerked back. A hand, pale, decayed but moving, grabbed my wrist. Nails dug in. The moan turned to words. Stay. With me, I screamed, yanked. Free, scrambled out. Blood, my blood now, dripped from the scratches. Upstairs the house responded. Every faucet turned on full blast. Red water poured from sinks, shower, toilet. The walls wept openly now, streams running down like tears. I slipped on the slick floor, hit my head, blacked out for seconds. When I came to, the power was out. Darkness. Only the dripping sound, everywhere. Ramirez came back that evening after my frantic call. Found me sitting on the porch, covered in red. Mark, this isn't natural, he said. We're bringing in specialists. Structural, maybe even hazmat if it's some chemical. But tests showed no chemicals. Just blood, human. Multiple types now. Emily's, Victor's father, and traces of others. Old degraded DNA from the 1980s. The house had been bleeding for decades, nights blurred. I stopped sleeping in the bedroom. Too many drips from the ceiling. Couch in the living room. But the whispers started. Faint at first. He kept us. More room. Join us. Women's voices. Multiple. I recorded them on my phone, played back for Ramirez. He went pale. This matches cold cases. Missing women from the area, 2005-2018, all dated Victor or his dad at some point. One night, around 3 a.m., the basement door flew open. No wind, slammed against the wall. From below, footsteps, slow, ascending, wet slaps, like walking through puddles. I grabbed a kitchen knife, back to the front door. The footsteps reached the top, stopped. Then a voice, Emily's, clear as if she was standing there. "You let me out. But you can't leave." The lights flickered back on, blood everywhere, walls, ceiling, floors, forming patterns, words. "Welcome home." I bolted outside, drove to a motel, called my sister. "Don't come here ever." Sold the house sight unseen to some out-of-state investor. Took the loss, moved across the state, but it followed. Packages arrived at my new apartment. No return address. Inside, photos of the basement, fresh ones, blood still wet, handprints on the walls, mine, from that night, and a note. "The house remembers. It needs more." Last week, I drove by the old place. Lights on in the windows. Someone moving inside. Not the new owner, silhouette too small, too familiar. Emily, or the others, dripping from the eaves. Red rain on the driveway. If you're buying a new home, check the history, not just the deed, the walls, the floors, because some houses don't just have secrets, they bleed them. As I hammered the first nail into the living room wall of my new home, a whisper slithered out from behind the drywall. "Don't. She'll hear you." Soft, terrified, like a woman warning me from inside the very structure of the house. I froze, hammer mid-swing, nail bent, no vents nearby, no radio on, just me, in this modern townhouse in bustling Atlanta, Georgia. I'd closed on it last week, affordable, newly built subdivision, perfect for a young professional like me starting over after losing my job up north. The builder assured top-quality materials. But that whisper, clear as day. I tore at the spot with my hands. Drywall crumbled easily, too easily. Behind, insulation, wires, and a small hole like a peephole. Peering in, darkness. But then, eyes stared back, blinked, gone. I yelped, backed away. Imagination, I told myself, patched the hole, finished hanging the picture. That night, whispers multiplied. From bedroom walls, "He's watching." Kitchen, "Run, before it's too late." Living room, names, my name. Sarah, "He knows. I'm Sarah." How? Sleepless, I researched the development. Forums buzzed. Houses built on old cemetery land. True? City records. Site was a 19th century burial ground, relocated in the 2000s. Bodies mostly moved. One article. Worker found unmarked grave during construction. Female skeleton, bound wrists. Days passed. Whispers evolved. Full sentences. He buried me here. Alive. For my secrets. Objects vanished. Keys in walls. Phone behind outlets. One afternoon, renovating bathroom, I cut into tile. Blood? No. Old letter fell out. Dated 1897. "Dearest, my husband suspects our affair. If he finds us, he'll entomb me. Save me. Eliza." Chills. More research. Eliza Thornton, 1890s socialite, disappeared. Husband accused, acquitted. House on her family's land, now my subdivision. Nights. Terrorized. Walls pulsed like breathing. Scratches inside, trying to escape. One storm night, power out. Whispers screamed, "He's here!" Door knocked 3 times, open to no one, but inside walls cracked open. Figure emerged, shadowy man, Victorian clothes. "You know too much," chased me. I ran, but halls looped endlessly. Police dismissed as hallucination. But I found hidden room behind closet. Eliza's remains, Diary confirming burial alive by jealous. Husband, sold at loss. New owners hear whispers too. Walls, don't forget. They share secrets and trap you with them. The moment the workers pried open that section of drywall behind my closet, and Eliza Thornton's skeletal remains tumbled out in a cascade of dust and brittle fabric, I knew the whispers weren't just in my head anymore. They were the house itself screaming to be heard, and now that I'd listened, it refused to let me go. I stood there in the half-demolished hallway of my new Atlanta townhouse, staring at the bones curled in fetal position, wrists still bound with what looked like old silk rope frayed at the edges. The diary, that leather-bound thing, dated 1897, lay open beside her, pages yellowed but legible. He has sealed me in. The walls will keep my secret, but they whisper it to anyone who listens too closely. My hands shook as I backed away. The foreman called the police immediately. I didn't need to say much. The scene spoke for itself. Detective Harlan arrived within the hour, mid-40s, tired eyes, coffee-stained tie. He took one look at the remains and muttered, "This isn't a cold case anymore. This is archaeology meets murder." Forensics team swarmed the place. They confirmed, female, mid-30s, cause of death asphyxiation consistent with being walled in alive. DNA pulled from bone marrow matched distant relatives in Georgia archives. Eliza Thornton, born 1862, vanished 1898 after a public scandal involving her husband's accusations of infidelity. Newspaper clippings from the era painted her husband, Reginald Thornton, as a respected banker who grieved deeply and sold the family estate shortly after. The land, exactly where my subdivision now stood, the old cemetery had been relocated in the early 2000s for development, but apparently not all graves or victims made the move. I tried to leave that night, packed a duffel, called an Uber to a hotel, but as I reached the front door, the whispers returned, not faint anymore. Clear, overlapping voices from every wall. "Don't go. Stay. We have more to tell." The door handle burned hot under my palm, like fever skin. I yanked it open. It slammed shut on its own, lock clicking. Lights flickered. The house breathed, slow inhale through the vents, exhale, rustling curtains. I pounded on the door, screamed for help. No neighbors heard. The subdivision was quiet, everyone inside binge-watching or asleep. Eventually the lock released. I fled to the hotel, heart in my throat. But the whispers followed. Not in the hotel room, in my head. At first soft. "Sarah. Listen. My name. How?" Then louder in dreams. Full conversations. Eliza's voice pleading with Reginald. "I never betrayed you." His angry retorts. "The walls will judge." I'd wake sweating, scratching at my arms where invisible nails seemed to trace old patterns. Morning brought proof, faint red lines on my skin like someone had pressed through plaster to reach me. Detective Harlan called the next day. We found more. During demolition of the false wall, they uncovered a second cavity, smaller, adjacent. Inside, 3 more sets of remains. All women, all from the late 1800s to early 1900s, bound similarly. Diaries or notes with each. One from 1905. The house took my sister after she spoke too loudly. Another 1923. Father sealed mother away for her madness, but the madness is the house. The third? Blank except for scratched words. It feeds on silence. Speak or join us. The subdivision's history unraveled fast. The land had belonged to the Thornton family for generations. After Reginald's death in 1910, officially heart failure, but autopsy notes mentioned strange bruising around the throat, the property passed to heirs who subdivided it piecemeal. Each time a new section was built on, strange incidents. Workers hearing voices, tools moving, accidents. One foreman in 2002 during cemetery relocation reportedly quit after walls talked back. City hushed it up. Progress over ghosts. I couldn't. Stay away. Obsession pulled me back. 2 weeks later, I returned during daylight with Harlan's permission. For your statement. The townhouse was taped off, half-gutted, drywall torn, exposing studs like ribs. I walked the halls, recording on my phone. The whispers were constant now, overlapping, urgent. They buried us deep, but the foundations cracked. I pressed my ear to a remaining intact wall in the living room. Voices sharpened, names, dates, please. One voice, newer, 1980s accent. He said it was an affair, but the house knew the truth. Harlan arrived, showed me files. Reginald. Thornton had a pattern. Jealous, controlling. Multiple mistresses disappeared after arguments. No bodies found then, until now. But the house? It wasn't just Reginald. The walls themselves seemed complicit. Structural engineer noted, unusual voids in framing, like deliberate hidden spaces added over decades. Someone, or something, designed it to entomb. That night, alone in my hotel, I refused to go back. The escalation hit. Phone buzzed, unknown number. Answer, static, then whispers. Come home, Sarah. We need a voice. I hung up. It rang again. Same. Third. Time. My own voice on the line, distorted. You listened. Now you speak for us. I threw the phone across the room. It kept ringing. Next morning, bruises on my wrists, rope-like marks. I hadn't tied anything. Panic attack. Called Harlan. It's not over. He met me at a coffee shop. We're exhuming. The old Thornton plot. Might find Reginald. But as we spoke, my reflection in the window shifted. Eyes not mine. Mouth moving, whispering words I couldn't hear. I went back to the townhouse one final time, compelled. Night. Power off in the area from a storm. Flashlight only. The place felt alive. Walls pulsing faintly, like breathing. I walked to the living room wall where the first whispers started. Hammer in hand, smashed through, plaster rained. Behind, another space. Empty except for a mirror. Old ornate, cracked. My reflection stared back. But it was Eliza, smiling sadly. You set us free. But the house needs a new keeper. The mirror fogged. Words appeared in the condensation. Speak our truths, or become one. I swung the hammer. Glass shattered. Shards flew. One cut my palm deep. Blood dripped onto the floor. The house responded. Every wall cracked simultaneously. Low rumble. Voices erupted. Chorus of screams, laughter, pleas. The floor buckled. I fell through, not far, into a shallow crawl space beneath. Darkness. Hands, cold, bony, grabbed my ankles, pulled. I fought, clawed up, emerged, gasping. Harlan's team found me hours later, curled in the hallway, bleeding, muttering. Names I didn't know. They pulled more remains from under the foundation. 4 more. All women. All silenced. The house was condemned, scheduled for demolition. I moved states. New apartment. No walls touching old ground. But the whispers, they never stopped. Faint now. In quiet moments. Tell our story. Packages arrive sometimes. Old photos of the Thornton house, my townhouse before demo. Notes. The walls. Remember, they wait for the next listener. Last month, browsing real estate for fun, I saw it. The lot listed again. Cleared land. Prime location. New builder planning condos. I wanted to warn them, but when I typed the message, my fingers froze. A whisper in my ear. Or join us in silence. If you buy a home on old land, listen carefully. Walls don't just hold up roofs. Some hold secrets. And if they choose to whisper, answer at your own risk. Because once you speak for them, they never let you stop.